Buonasera a tutte e tutti. It's an honor to host the artist Piotr Uklanski. It's a week before the closing of this show. And together with the eminent critic and curator Francesco Bonami, I thank you both for your generous presence here tonight. And I would like also to thank La Galleria Massimo De Carlo and Ludovica in particular that has supported us in the organization of this event. This conversation between Bonami and Uklanski is particularly meaningful because of the unique connection that exists among them, a long-term friendship and a series of collaborations. And maybe we could say a common language or a common second language. This special event celebrates the exhibition dedicated to Piotr Uklanski at Pinacoteca. It is titled Faux Amis. And as you know, it continues in the Museum of Fruit and at the Museum of Anatomy. Museum of Fruit Francesco Garnier-Valletti and Museum of Anatomy Luigi Rolando. So as you know, just to give you a little bit of a context, for those who are not familiar with our projects, our Beyond the Collection project at Pinacoteca Agnelli means to activate our historic collection upstairs with the aim of unveiling hidden stories, question its mainstream narratives or canonical interpretations, and offer new readings and or even unveil absences. So previous artists have approached this platform by dialoguing with one work of the collection. Uklanski, for the first time, has chosen to occupy the whole space and develop a project which is a mix between an exhibition, a curatorial project, and an art historical statement. At the same time, it is none of the above. It is truly a work of art in itself, the work of an artist that in his own words, cannibalizes our history, as he means that artists feed themselves on the work of artists that came before, in order to build, reject, or revolutionize their own approach to art making. Curator Nicola Trezzi writes in the exhibition booklet that Uklanski's work are seductive, but they're weapons used against the viewer to spark thinking. The interventions at the Museum of Fruit and the Museum of Anatomy, where Uklanski has placed some of his works in dialogue with the objects contained, become a continuation of his inserting himself within a collection, to spark a reflection on what a collection is, what it represents beside an imagery or a concept, why it exists, what is it, what it testifies, and what it says about us. By inserting himself within the collection of Pinacoteca in dialogue with Manet, with Bellotto, with Matisse and Renoir, Uklanski deals with Orientalism, colonialism, with the patriarchal gaze, the repetition of history, even with dancing. On his famous dance floor, Uklanski has placed the sculptures of Canova, shifting the movement of the statues to that of our bodies, to our relationships, to us looking at an artwork and thinking about its meaning. The title of the exhibition, Faux Amis, means fake friends and refers to words that look or sound similar, if not identical, but have different meanings. Uklanski has created fake friends by juxtaposing his works to the masterpieces in the collection. What maybe it's important to say is that all his works, or almost, in the three venues are existing works, as to testify that Uklanski's relationship to our history is part of his practice. Exhibition making is a medium. Fake friends are similar but different, so maybe we can say that Uklanski and Bonami are real friends in the sense that are different but similar. Bonami is a former artist turned curator. Uklanski is an artist that seems to understand and play with both conditions, yet escapes any definition. In the end, they both do. Once again, familiarity can be a disguise. Francesco Bonami has curated numerous exhibitions and projects which featured Piotr's work, among them the Venice Biennale in 2003, the Whitney Biennial, and the exhibition Mapping the Studio in 2009 at Palazzo Grassi in Punta della Dogana, curated together with Alison Gingeras, in which the works presented were the famous series of photos of Nazi impersonators, together with his famous dance floor. Bonami has also written numerous texts on the artist's work. In the book Il Bonami dell'arte, published in 2015, Bonami wrote about Piotr that he's a sort of cowboy like Clint Eastwood, but born in the wrong place. He wrote that Uklanski's art is pornographic, aggressive, and bloody, but not a real carnage, just a film-like saloon scene where the artist punches here and there, and at the end, the ones still standing are his own paintings, photos, films, or tapestries. Piotr is, writes Bonami, is the last of the underground figures, avant-garde in a world where everybody is retrograde. In the book Second Language, published in 2014 for Piotr's show at Bass Museum of Art, Bonami wrote that Uklanski is a figure of pop, porn, rock, and the esoteric. He defines him as the inventor of resuscitative painting, as the opposite of action painting. Bonami, and we're gonna ask him about that, talks about the fact that Uklanski's work create retinal gratification, exude pleasure, that are about carnal knowledge. But also he says that contrary to most artists that are often masochistic, Uklanski has a sadistic approach to his own work. He tortures his art, as only through torture, together with pleasure, the work can emanate the power to redeem the viewer. This is why we're eager actually to hear tonight. And before leaving the stage to Piotr and Francesco, I would also like to sincerely thank the curators that worked on this exhibition by Piotr Uklanski, Pietro Rigolo, Nicola Trezzi, and our assistant curator, Raphael Sevran, together with production, registrarial, and all the fantastic staff of Pinacoteca that works so passionately on all our projects.
Where we start? The wrong place of birth? The wrong place of birth. And also we start from this thing that we are talking before coming here, about this just position, where we take for granted that the heart of the past is better than the heart of the present. And which is a convention. It's like a geographical map, art history. We go from Torino to Milano in a straight line, but we could go in another line. And it's the same thing with art history. We take for granted that one painting of the past is definitely must be better than a painting of the present, but it's not. So can you tell me how you approach this thing of juxtaposition, that how you put in contact these works, without reverence, instead of just playing an homage to their work that you have to deal with next to it?
Well, I think that a show like this is a trap for an artist because it's so confined. You react pretty much as a confrontation. And so I try to, come up with a different perspective where obviously my work will hang next to Manet or Matisse, and I feel in many ways revindicated or honored by that, but at the same time, I need to find a different way to react to this than to react, okay? And so this seemed to me a good approach. Plus, I think that it's an interesting concept, right? you're an Italian, I'm Polish. Sarah introduced us as a little bit like a Fozamese, and I think that it. I don't know. I think I wanted to have an inherent impossibility in the show that I presented.
So this impossibility, let's do an impossible game. In the show, tell me how many works there are in the show of yours? Upstairs. 5. 5. Tell me 5 works in the collection that are worse than yours.
Mine, 5 of mine.
You know, there are works that are worse than yours. For sure.
No, I'm not going to fall into this. I think.
Why? Because it's interesting.
Yeah, but the
Renoir is worse than the painting of the bat, the ass that you did. Renoir is a bad painter. For example.
I can't say that. You can say that.
No, why? You see, this is something that I disagree. Why we cannot say that Renoir is a bad painter? Only because he painted in a...
No, because I don't have this, predicament that my works are so great.
It doesn't matter. I didn't say that the work is great. I say what work is worse than yours. You know?
Canova.
Canova is definitely worse than yours. And I tell you why. Because
Please.
you invented the dance floor, which is, let's think about the Bernini Santa Teresa, the ecstasies. So no matter how shit they put around, it always is a great masterpiece. If you go to see in a chapel in Rome, there is a horrendous architecture around, electric candles, everything. No contemporary artist would have allowed that thing, And instead, the work is still good. You do the reverse. No matter which piece of shit you put on your dance floor, it looks good, That's Canova, but it could be anything else. It could be, Giuliano Vangi. And it will look good on the dance floor. So you created a work of art that is both a background and a focus point of whatever is around. So do you agree with that? That the dance floor is a way to, like a black hole. It absorbs everything, it goes on top, and everything on top, it looks good. Ugly people look good on the dance floor when they dance.
Yes, but I wish Canova was here as well, and he had the chance to take my work and somewhat, manipulate or put things around it. Don't you think that would be fair?
Yeah, I think Canova would not understand your work, but he would probably behave like a contemporary artist, and he will absolutely refuse to put his work on top of your dance floor.
But he also was very good in kind of an architectural spatial intervention. But didn't he create his thumb?
Yeah, because I think Canova was, there is a level of banality in Canova, and so in order to make his work more interesting, he had to work with the architecture around and make it, interesting. The most interesting thing of the Canova's work is the work that he didn't do, is the grave in the Frari in Venice. I think it's fantastic because he would not have done something like that, and I think the artist that did the tomb want to have a revenge. So do you want to have a revenge against good art?
When you speak, it makes me feel, will anybody in the future say that my greatest work was the one that I didn't make? Because that's what you're implying about Canova.
No, that's no. No, I think that no matter how much you protect your work, there is someone that come and destroy it. In this case,
Yeah, but it's also
Renoir doesn't know that you put a painting next to it.
and it's also implied in the concept of show like this, right? That you give an advantage to a younger artist, or at least the advantage is that the artist is alive, and that carries a certain distraction and sadism, right?
Yeah, I think that to be alive is an advantage, definitely, over the death. because it allows you to reverse the point of view on time, you know? So I always wonder if what someone that come out of space without any historical or hierarchical or temporal reference would say of a show like that, you know? Now we judge because we have elements to judge, but without element to judge, maybe we could look at the work in a more open and free way, which is the way you do, no?
I try, but I guess I'm going to ask you a question because you introduced this element of judgment in the very beginning, as in, which work is good or bad. And I think, when you come to an existing context, I'm not a curator, but I use tools of like putting my works in the space in some controlled way. You can manipulate the value to your advantage, or you can even create a situation when you try to assign a value. I try somewhat avoid this trap by making works that are, like at least on surface disassociated, or at least the viewer has a chance to come in and have a look and say, oh, this juxtaposition is so superficial, it has no meaning. Okay?
Yeah.
So, can we avoid creating a value in a juxtaposition?
Absolutely. Actually, I think it's a good approach because the attempt to create meaning is always, I say, is a failure.
Terrible idea.
It's a terrible idea because there's not meaning, There is a matter of visual dialogue that people can. It's how people react visually to what they see, and to give information ahead, written information ahead of a visit in a museum is not, for me, a good thing, because you should have the free approach to look at your work, look at the work of Matisse, and decide yourself, what work is for you is more meaningful. The meaning is inside of the viewer, not in the juxtaposition. So I think that is for a lot of people, your dance floor is 1,000% more meaningful, than the Canova, because your dance floor it's alive, and it's about it's about the body, and not the idealization of the body, but allow actually ugly body to enjoy themselves on the dance floor. And while Canova is the opposite. So I think that, but if you start to make it an art history dissertation, of course, Canova, it's always considered better than Piotr Uklanski, which I don't agree.
Yeah.
But is it because they can relate to the dance floor easier?
No, I think that the dance floor speak to the different, to the condition of time more than Canova. It's about that concept that I always repeat over and over, dust and patina. Canova is dusty, your floor has a certain patina of contemporaneity and the present and the language that is resonate. I've seen the dance floor from that bar you put it in New York when it was 25 years ago, passerby. But the floor, it doesn't look old,
But the dance floors like that are also on the ferries from Bari to Piraeus, right?
Yeah, and it's always look good, It looks better than
Late in the evening.
I mean, I've seen it many years in different contexts, and the dance floor looks always good. Canova is dusty. It's just beautiful. It doesn't add anything to someone's life. And I think that's what the work of art, I believe, maybe idealistically, that he should add in his badness or goodness something of your life. Or you don't think so?
What about Renoir? I mean, this is bodily, it's humane. It's not dusty, is it?
Well, you're right. Renoir is your S is better than Renoir's, but it's definitely not dusty. It has a certain patina, a certain sensuality that is timeless. I have to say, more than other. I love Canaletto and Bellotto, but if you have it in your living room, you shoot yourself. Every day you come back home depressed and you kill yourself. But if I see your Hess or Renoir, yes, I'm happy. So I think there is an importance in art that you can do fantastic work of art, masterpiece, but the one that really works are the ones that don't accumulate dust, but they build the patina, and they are timeless. Do you agree or not?
It's interesting because before we came, we had this conversation about how certain works of art, whether they're film or visual, one wishes to revisit, and they don't necessarily need to be better or even good, but you keep revisiting, re-seeing it, and there are others that you see once and you don't have a particularly motivation. Remember this?
Yeah.
And well, it's
I
interesting.
am old, but I remember the conversation of 20 minutes ago, yeah.
I didn't want to assume, but the question really is, so in a show like this, when you have Bellottas, when you have Matisse, when, which ones you want to see again? I mean, I obviously, I don't want to see my works again, but
No, because that's okay. That's actually a lot of artists don't want to see the works again. Filmmakers don't want to see the work once they finish it. Writers don't want to read this novel after they finish it. There's a lot of things. You are a rare case because usually visual artists love to see the work over and over and over. I was in a show in New York, a group show, and I was in a dark room, and the guy tapped me, and it was an artist. I said, "Oh, how are you?" And I say, "Are you in the show?" And they say, "Yes, this is my work." He was looking at his own work in a group show, a work that they have seen probably 150 times. So I found it. I was that thing. So I think that what we were saying before, if we want the conversation, and it was interesting because we were talking about some works. There is a story, and there is a joke, and there is a game. Some work of art are games, so you like to look at them because you play this game again. Then there are the stories that you can hear them and look at them over and over and over, endlessly, even if you know them. And then there's jokes, which again is not a matter of quality. We're not saying that games are good, jokes are bad. But jokes, once you hear one, you don't want to hear it again. Maybe you laugh, you crack, but then it's the night after the guy tell you the joke, you say, I know the joke. But some certain story that you can hear over and over and over. So what do you think your work is? More a game, a joke, or a story?
Well, exactly. So at two ends of the show is anchored with a dance floor,
Yeah.
and Bellotto and a photograph of a Russian army monument. Are they stories? Both? I think Bellotto is a story, but is dance floor a story or a joke?
It's a game.
You think it's
yeah,
a game
yeah.
as well? It's a compliment, right?
Yeah, it's a compliment. It's a game. You can use the dance floor over and over like a game. You can do it. I mean, it doesn't matter because on the dance floor you always change the move like in a game. But it's the same format, the same. You are within the structure. It's not a joke. Even the S that you paint is not a joke. No, I don't think so, because I like to look
Because of the pink flats?
No, because it's abstract. It's just something that you can look at it and you don't think it's pornographic. You don't think it's provocative. As you say before, it's a landscape. So you can look at the landscape.
Does everybody follow our conversation, or we're just talking to tea?
It's a landscape. It's not.
Melancholic.
It's something. We were passing by and we look. Lodovica said, "Look at the mountains." Why? You know. Because they're a story, The mountain, you don't need to ask anything. It's a mountain, Yeah.
Well, I always worry that my works are jokes. I want them to be stories or games, but because I don't, and of course you need to make a work that's a joke as well. Sometimes it's needed. And as you generously said, that one doesn't make it's not like jokes are worse than games or stories, but, as you said, you hear a joke once, you don't necessarily you don't laugh at the same joke again in the same strength.
No. No, it's the thing. I think they're all useful in the pattern of life. You need story, you need jokes. If sometimes you need just to read jokes. There are moments in life you don't want to read a story, or you don't want to play a game.
And it's an artist's job to offer you a game that looks like a joke, and you don't know yet.
It's possible, yes. Can you tell me one of your works that is a joke?
Well, I think the Nazis are a game that dressed as a joke.
It's a game that's dressed like a joke, but it's a game.
But it's not a joke.
No, because every time you see the Nazi, you go and you start looking, try to recognize. It's a game, And so I don't know which one of your work is a joke. I don't remember. Maybe you don't do jokes. Maybe there are people that don't know how to tell jokes.
I'm Polish. We don't do jokes.
You don't know jokes. We have jokes about Polish, but there are no jokes.
We're not famous for sense of humor.
There is a lot of jokes about Polish, but you are not able to say a joke. That's good, Yeah, but you tell a great story.
I say the ending first.
Yeah, you say you always So it's interesting, and then there is also an aspect that there is something that you play with banality, in the sense in the Museum of Fruit, Museo della Frutta, you did still life with fruit. So, which are, again, it's not, they are in, it's a useless dialogue, fruit with fruit, but it's interesting. How did you proceed in doing that? How did you come up with this
Well, the paintings were made before, and this was an exhibition I've done based on descriptions of paintings that were lost, and often those descriptions, they were like 1, 2 sentences, pretty dry. I don't know, fruit in the foreground at autumn landscape. But they were lost to mostly Second World War and the First World War. And obviously most of the database comes from Poland, Russia, Ukraine, countries that suffered most, at least material loss. And when I visited, this is exactly the superficial juxtaposition that I hoped is going to bring something deeper, because it's this immaculate, obsessive, and yet very functional collection. And you bring something that is so, so alike, and yet coming from entirely different perspectives. So it wasn't necessarily, made, but my making was to marry the two.
You want to put something that people find obvious.
Or even, you know what, it's also interesting when they have exactly a choice to ignore because arguably it looks pretty, right? Whatever that means. And I think that you mentioned in the beginning that it's the viewer that brings the meaning, the you know, the juxtapositions, the whatever they come with to the exhibition. So if they come in and they choose not to have, I can't really tell them this.
It's kind of you helped after, when you go to the museum after the 150th pair, you know, the viewer encounter a painting and he must be very happy, you know, because
Get away from the pair.
to get away from those pair, because you know how many pairs you can look
There's a pair on the painting.
on the painting, but that's a different thing. You say, oh, maybe all those pair they have only one meaning to allow someone to paint a pair, you know, otherwise those pair are just functional.
You sound like a curator.
No, I don't. They're functional. You know, it's American will love your exhibition because it's how you say it. I never understood what it means, but it's a tautology.
Repeated meaning, right?
It's the same thing over
yeah,
the same
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
A piece of floor over floor.
I love tautology.
Yeah, you like tautology. So your painting is a kind of tautology.
I am a tautology.
Yeah, so the thing. So I think, but the tautologies allow you to escape reality, no?
Yes. Yes.
So those paintings,
Escape responsibility also.
those painting allow the viewer to escape the reality of the pair. You know? No, is it true or not?
It's true.
Yeah. So you know, and you choose basically apple and pear. You didn't choose the grapes. There is a lot of grapes also there.
But it's also, this museum is it about death or no?
Is about?
Death.
Yes. Yeah, I think is very deadly.
Because we know we're talking about these pearls, and in many ways it's like a candy. It's like a substitute. It's a fantastic place.
No, it's great, but you know, the guy he has a function when the guy was trying to understand the pair. But now that we know the pair, the museum is dead. It's a little bit like Canova, you know. So the painting of your apple, they are like the dance floor here for the Canova. The real pairs are like Canova. They are perfectly made. They look great. It's a fantastic place, but it's dead. You know, they're dusty. You're painting it alive.
I would like to protest a little bit because you're giving me a lot of compliments. I don't really think that the contemporary artists are not that much better. We have an advantage.
I don't say that you're better. I
Of
just-
being alive and the work connecting with the viewer better, perhaps, because nobody reads, say, Baroque paintings anymore that have a language.
Well, they're taken for granted. You know?
They're not being read.
Well, you take a Baroque painting for granted. You know? You don't judge it. You don't use it. You know.
No, I think it's deeper. I think you go in and you see the Rubens and you can't read it. And you like because the colors are great, the shapes are fantastic, there's bravado, but you can't read.
Yeah.
And so my point is that
But also contemporary art you cannot read.
unless it's my work,
Because
because it gives you an illusion that you can read it.
it's a textbook, your work. If you told me I'm making a compliment.
Like
Now,
an elementary school textbook.
elementary textbook, yes. And it's in elementary textbooks. You know?
I hoped for more, but there
Well,
I am.
you all told me that they do only compliments. Now I did something, you know. Your work is, yeah, it's sure. It's more close to what a viewer could do. You know?
It's the best I could.
You know, it's the best you could say, oh, look, he did it. You know? Maybe I shouldn't be intimidated by Renoir. You know?
No, but yeah, exactly. Please elaborate because, like, okay, so how can
You allow
one
the viewer
not-
not to be intimidated.
But how can artists not be intimidated by Renoir? I'm sorry. I'm like, I too came from, you know, whatever the background. Then you go to the museum, somebody takes you, the school takes you. You see these paintings. It's always in the already, you know, a context is already granting it a value, right? And to be honest, I probably till now I don't know the good Renoir from the bad Renoir. I know the one I like, the one I don't. But you follow me?
Yeah, sure.
So like, and then you,
Because you grew up in education that you're not allowed to criticize a certain authority, particularly in art. You're not allowed to criticize, you know. There was a famous writer, Raffaele Capria, who was is also surprising because very intellectual people in front of contemporary, they stop, they become blind in front of contemporary art. So he was still debating if the Demoiselle d'Avignon was good or bad. You know, this was 2015.
this is
You
a
know?
great position because he didn't assume it was great.
No, but then I say, listen, and what about Caravaggio? To ask him. If I say that Caravaggio is bad, he say you're an idiot. You see, and that's I disagree. Maybe I don't like Caravaggio. Why I'm forced to like Caravaggio? You know?
But is the fact that you don't
He
like
was-
Caravaggio makes Caravaggio bad?
No, it doesn't matter. It's not bad or good. But he was taking for granted
That
that,
it's
he
good.
has the right to still judge the Demoiselle d'Avignon of Picasso. He thought he was entitled still to say, I like it, don't like it. But if I was saying, okay, I'm entitled to say I like it, don't like Caravaggio, he told me you're an idiot.
So what is it that it gives you?
The right to say that Caravaggio.
No,
is bad.
hang on a second. The chutzpah to come in and say this is about Renoir, and I can't say that.
You can
Meaning
say that.
No, I am allowed, but I cannot allow myself. You're a better person.
Me?
Yes.
No, I'm not an artist, so I have the freedom to don't be, you know, to put myself in the same position in front of a Renoir and you. I am the same distance. I don't have a different distance.
And I'm on my knees.
You are well.
Kind of.
There is a kind of you are an artist. You know.
No, but I should be you. I should be the one that says like fuck all this shit. And
Well, that's not my problem. Then you should. Yeah, but I should be you. I would like to come in and say, oh, I do a painting next to Renoir, but nobody will allow me. You know. And you have the freedom to do it. So you cannot have everything in life. You know. You know, you have to have you have reference from the Renoir. I don't understand why.
but it's interesting because essentially
I don't think you have to have reverence in front of art. I think you have to be awe or curiosity or disgust, but reverence, I don't understand why you have to have reverence in front of art. You know, is like today museum director have reverence in front of the influencer. For me, it's the same thing, you know. Why you have to have reverence in front of something that someone did, you know? You can like it, you can love it, you can be fascinated, you can be inspired, whatever. But reverence, why? I don't understand it, you know?
But you know what? Maybe this is what, in the end, this show is about. Like, in a sense, what you exactly said, that you have to be able to enter space like this with and allowing yourself to say this isn't good because it said that it's good,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But it's it's not easy for everywhere, and I think maybe this superficial juxtapositions just like derail your kind of trajectory that you normally walk into the space and like nod because
it's reverence, you know? I think reverence is a very bad thing. You know? You know, you see these people that are not Catholic that have reverence in front of the Pope. Why? Right. You know, It's not why you have to be reverent in front of the Pope if you are a Buddhist, you know, or why you have to have the reverence in front of the Dalai Lama only because he doesn't eat, you know, certain food.
If you're a communist, you,
If I
you don't really care for either of them.
or I don't care for either.
Presumably.
So reverence, I think, is an invented thing. Is a structure of power. You have to control, you know, a certain structure. So I think art is a structure of, you know, so he was Polish, you know, the guy that break the nose of Pieta with the hammer, Laszlo Toth.
It's Hungarian. That's not us.
Okay, Vivian Gay was from that. I was at that time was on the other side of the Iron Curtain, so for us it was all the same. So it was a Hungarian that looked like a Polish, and you know he felt the need to break. I'm not encouraging someone to break the nose of the Pietas, but it was this thing. He say that he did it because he was overwhelmed by the beauty of the thing. So for me, it's the same thing. He's overwhelmed by the fact that he was forced to go on his knee and in front of a piece of stone that the guy did very well, you know. So the only thing he could do it is do something violent, which is not good. But you can understand it, the feeling, you know? When you really are frustrated of your insignificance and you are presented by something that it's you're forced to adore. Do you agree?
100%.
And your art is about that, no?
Yes, and I think that when Sarah quoted your earlier writing with the sadism, I don't know if this is a translation or you meant this, but I think there is certainly comes from anger or comes from I don't agree, but it's interesting because then I kneel almost in front of Renoir, right? But I think my anger was more
Because maybe you know inside yourself that Renoir shouldn't be more famous than you. And that's the thing. You know, inside yourself say, this is a shitty painter. And I kind of, why? You say, why this fucking guy?
no, then I appreciate how he managed despite the fact.
Exactly. And so that's why you get angry. And then because you control your anger and anger become reverence. You know?
No, I think that the anger comes from social status, and I think in the lack of agreement, and I think that art was one of the avenues to be able to bypass a kind of a standard
Yes.
ladder of climb.
It's true. I agree.
So here I am, years later, and arguably I climbed the ladder.
Yeah.
But I don't think you resolved my problem with Renoir.
No, I don't resolve any of this problem because reverence is embedded in the structure of our society, particularly class, anger, money, things, and you feel always, certain reverence. Now there is wealth that creates reverence, and, if Elon Musk entered this room, everybody gets very intimidated. Even if you don't like Elon Musk. It's the same as Renoir. Elon Musk is our Renoir.
Well,
More useful than Renoir, but
No, but you're right. It is true that like we presumably a priori assign so much value and we kneel down.
So on this note, what we should do, ask the public to have some questions.
While we hydrate.
Yeah, whatever, unless you have other things that you would like to talk.
Oh, I'm great. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Good. So if you have questions, maybe we can answer and not bore you with more elucubration about Renoir and his irrelevance.
Question actually from Mr. Bonami. You talked about the difference between patina and dusty work. So would you name 3 qualities of a work that makes it patina versus dusty?
Piero Manzoni, Dust. Lucio Fontana, Patina. Andy Warhol, Patina. Well, Boys, Dust. Andy Warhol, Patina. I take the same category.
It's in between.
Andy Warhol, Patina. Oldenburg, Dust.
Hannah Wilke.
Anna Wilke, Jesus. Anna Wilke, no, I don't think it's Dust. Patina, I think Anna Wilke. I take a woman that is dusty. No, Alice Nin, no, it's not Dust. But she's not even so much patina. It's in the in between. It's a.
So did you do 3 or you did 2?
2. Meret Oppenheim, Dusty.
Oh, Polke,
Polke, patina,
Richter.
patina.
Okay.
But Polke, what is that?
Lucian Freud.
Lucian Freud, well, he has 2 periods. The one period patina, one period dust. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah.
Can you explain the difference?
The difference, yes, I can explain the difference. The difference is very simple. There are important works of art, Manzoni, who are very important, but when you see them, immediately they bring you, they're like a flashback. They bring you like in the movies, you know, they bring you back in the time, they bring you back in the 60s and things like that. There are other works like Flower of World that when you see them, you don't know exactly when they've been done. That's patina.
I see, and the other ones are the dust. Okay.
Yeah, does it make sense? So it doesn't mean that they're bad. They were very important, but then, you know, it's a little bit the same thing that jokes and story, you know?
So Kippenberger is patina.
Certain Piepenberger are patina, certain other a little bit dusty, you know? Himself, the sculpture of himself in the corner is great, but it's dusty, you know?
The manifestations.
Patina, because I'm outside the time.
Does anybody else have questions about the patina?
Here. I'm a pianist, so I treat other kind of materials. I quite disagree with this vision of patina and dust because, you know, the tradition I play is like 400, 500 centuries ago. But I can say this is dust, this is a patina. For example, I played 1 year ago an interesting concert with the flamenco dance troupe with the music of the Weltemperierte Klavier of Johann Sebastian Bach.
Okay. Patina.
Both, no. Why? Both were centuries old, but in that precise moment, they became something else. More, maybe alive, maybe not. Who knows? Because I think also the overjudgment today is what is killing really art and also our life.
Judging, it's not judging, it's only.
Nah,
If I listen,
quite.
if I listen Bach, I enjoy it. If I listen Monteverdi, I kill myself. So I think Monteverdi is dusty.
But you know, when I can say this because
It's a kind of.
there is a human being who put a lot of efforts and is still
don't care.
But you know, I care because he's still communicating something to us.
That's the attachment
Simple.
of the work of art to the human, the fatigue of the human being. I don't care because then you would take a poor guy that does a hole in the street.
But you know, when
And,
when
you
I
know,
saw
maybe prime
this,
minister.
when I
You
saw
know?
the dance floor and the canovas, I didn't see the canova and the dance floor. I saw a new organism. I simply lived through it. I saw a story of that moment, of that precise moment. But my mind didn't create the judgment, why put the dance floor under the canova, what an heresy. No,
Because
I
you see,
saw that
you
moment.
see, you make a great compliment to this man. He created a new organism, not Canova.
But, neither canova, neither him. It happened.
him.
No, it happened.
No, I didn't.
I think it happened. It simply happened.
No, but not two people didn't bring the Canova there overnight without telling anybody. He chose it.
He could have also another kind of ideas, maybe not the dance floor. But I think really
Oh, no, that's-
expressing a judgment on the dust and patina is something for me useless. Why?
Everything is useless. This conversation is useless. Absolutely, because I go home and it doesn't add anything to my life. I have the same problem. I look at my telephone bill and I say, oh, fuck.
We all agree that Francesco is very judgmental.
Yeah.
Okay, and we accept that. But no, hang on a second, because it's interesting. So you're saying that there is too much judgment in the sphere,
Right.
But we just spent time discussing how you're afraid to make a judgment, walking into space that superimposes one.
No, not at all. Because when I enter in a museum, I see, for me, these works can be all created in the same moment of history. For me, it doesn't matter if there are centuries or
I know
a lot of.
So I ask you a question related to music. Why jazz musicians are allowed, and by the way, why you are allowed to drink beer around jazz, and jazz musicians are allowed to laugh when they play music, and when you listen to a Chopin concert, you have to stay in total silence.
I
and
can
if
answer
you
this
drink a beer, they kick you out of the theater.
Because, it's something which I'm really, in opposition with. I'm a classical pianist.
Yeah.
And I don't agree because when I finish to play the first movement of a sonata, I want to listen to the enjoyment of the public. These rules are not written everywhere. It's something some assholes
May I interrupt you?
put. Yeah,
You could be a musician, but I'm Polish. So Chopin is mine.
I know. I think it's
Does
of
anybody else have a
everybody.
question? Because we hijacked the microphone.
Yeah, sure.
There are people in the back. Would you mind?
I saw a lot of parallelisms in your show upstairs. I'm just asking you what kind of parallelism would you like to make with this narcissistic word? What can cannibalize this kind of word, in your opinion?
You mean the juxtapositions, right? And you're asking me. I didn't understand exactly.
For example, you made a parallelism from with Renoir and the portrait of an ass.
Yes.
If in one part there is this narcissistic word, what kind of paint would you create in association or in parallelism with this word?
The word of narcissism, where everybody is all flies on ourselves, which kind of painting you would do? To
Like a next painting? Yeah. Should be of my butt.
absolutely.
To push it to the conclusive end.
Yeah.
Is that what you?
I think it's a good answer. I think you have a good painting for this narcissistic word. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I understood the question.
I think of it as, sure. You answer.
Because when you say narcissistic, it's almost like it's a determined. It's like a negative.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. Whereas I think that, first of all, as artists, we all are, or probably even should be, but we also, as human, we are narcissistic. It's just some of us don't recognize this. Some of us are really good at handling it, which is a skill, of course. But so I didn't understand why is it in the context of that. But yeah. Francesco said that my answer was good.
I would like to come back to the question Dusty and Patina. So, because I thought that both Dusty and Patina are something superficial. And I wonder if we can go any deeper.
No, because dust. Yeah, of course, deeper. Sure, if you take away the dust, you see but you cannot take away If you take away the patina, you ruin the work of art.
No, I wonder if we
If you
can.
take away the dust, you just clean it, and it's a two different process, you know.
No,
If you take a little bronze, from bronze, patina is very important. If you take it away, you destroy the work of art. If you take away the patina, the dust out of a sculpture of, I don't know if you know, keynotes, you know, you make it without dust, but it's still dusty. So there are dust that can be taken away and give life again to the nature and the content of a work. And there is dust that is, when you take it away, the work is still dusty. It's a little like dandruff, you know. You know, it's, you know.
It's interesting that.
Dust is dust. It
But
doesn't,
patina
it's never good.
just
Dust
really-
is one of the useless things invented by, I don't know who. Dust, dandruff, fog is a little romantic, eh? By Buddha maybe, yeah.
But if you you can touch patina because it's just something superficial.
Well, no, because patina almost put roots inside the work.
Ah, okay.
It attaches, it becomes part of the work. You know, the famous discussion about the restoration of Sistine Chapel, there were a lot of people that wanted the patina over and other people that didn't want it because they thought that, you know, the one that wanted because they grew up with this idea of Michelangelo, a very tormented guy, and the patina was perfect for Michelangelo. But he never meant to put a patina over. So he was actually wanted a bright color, but we got, see again, we got this embedded, we learned that Michelangelo was a guy that was always struggling, and actually we really don't know. Maybe he was going out and drink his head off and have fun, and then be homogeneous asshole, and so we want the patina over because instead it was a mistake. So there is some patina that you can take away because it's not. It's a sort of dust that become crusty, let's say, you know.
I think that there was a term called like a museum glow of like 1800s paintings, like a late, where basically there were the paintings that were 100 years old and they were like brown and yellow. And that glow was desirable. This sort of, because it antiquated it and henceforth added a value. Do you know what I mean? Like it's what Francesco says, once you clean the artwork, often it's jarring, right? We know that Greek sculptures were painted, the antique ones, but we kind of don't want to agree with this because we're so used to the image of white marble or stone, whatever it is, that it's like, it seems too poppy, too real, too vulgar, too like down to earth, too sexy perhaps. Nipples are painted. I'm sorry, you know what I mean? And I think that this often gives us distance to the past and elevates it.
Yes, and I agree. And I think that we also, another thing, reverence is one bad thing. Another thing that we grew up with is with this conviction that ancient people didn't have bad taste, you know? And maybe they have horrible taste, the Greek, you know? You wouldn't go in a house of a guy or a Greek guy, you know? Maybe Aristotle was horrible. Look at the shoes of Aristotle, they're horrible. You know, but we grew up with this idea that Greek are, you know, that's, it is, you know? So we dismiss this fact that they were all painted. There was, if you look at the little model, how the temple were, they were horrible. You look like Alessandro Mendini did it. You know, it's were horrendous, but we just don't accept it, and so it's one thing. But you know, patina is a little bit you know, in bronzes, you apply patina to bronzes to make it good. It's like my beard. Once I cut my beard, and my family begged me to let it grow again. You know, I couldn't go to have dinner with them because they really hate me without beard. And patina is a little bit like that. You don't take it away because the object look worst, you know. So I give a little bit of credit to my beard. It's not dust.
You move from patina
To dust.
Yes.
They look, it was very dusty and dandruffy, so they want the beard back, you know, immediately, you know. Yeah, we will drink. We'll go to his concert to play Chopin, and we will go. You invite me and Piotr to your concert of Chopin, and we will sit at the table drinking beer and laughing in the middle of the thing and see. Let's see, okay? Let's see, you know. You know.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. Anybody else?
Now, one more question, please. Yeah, so for you, Piotr, Sarah Kozlowicz said that you are friends with Francesco. What do you think about him? What kind of friend it is?
Well, she said we are fake friends.
I'm French, so
He
I
says
know
it's
what
not true.
cosa sì.
No, it's not true. I think you're a real friend, but friends doesn't need to spend the time all together. Actually, you know, we don't want to bore, even the best friend bore you. So we don't like to bore each other, you know, and I think the friends are different things, you know, they're different, you know.
But you know what? It's funny because when she was saying this, I was thinking how he's Italian and Polish, we speak English. And it reminded me a story, just to summarize this. There was a Polish writer who, during the war, Second World War, he was captured by the Germans, but not sent to the camp. For a change, he was working in a hotel somewhere in Germany. And he insisted speaking to the Germans in French. Okay, and ever since, like, he coined this idea that when you meet a person from another country, you shouldn't try to speak their language. You should try to speak the third language, because you have both equal chances to misunderstand each other. So here's me and Francesco.
And to his started to be my kid. He's from Warsaw, where they invent sadness. I am from Florence, where we invented civilization. And that's why you know, sadness and civilization together is a perfect combination.
I hope.
Civilization is boring, sadness is interesting.